People at home, welcome. You guys, welcome. So glad to have you. We're going to be talking about fueling the athlete, eating for health, body composition, and performance. We're going to kind of go over the landscape of nutrition. And to help us out with that, you guys received an email with this handout. But if you want one, we're going to go ahead and grab one. So I have a volunteer that will hand these out for me. Anybody? Corey's got it. So you guys can take one of those. And we'll just be kind of working through this. Anybody at home, if you want one of these, just message me here on Facebook, and I'll get that to you. So I'm going to step up here to my little podium that I've got, and I'll stay away from you guys so that I can take my mask off and address you guys, okay? So, where is my button? This one. So we've got this picture up here, and I want to change the way that you think about nutrition, and I want you to kind of think of this frame. Okay, so like you're looking through a picture frame and you see this picture. Okay, there's a mountain, and then there's these plains, and then there are these hills, and then there's this river, and then there's this little tribe standard dude. He has a little watch. It's this exact same watch depicted in my marker. Okay, and so we're going to kind of walk through how important these things are. And if you look at the document that I sent you on. It's the longer document for body composition and performance. It kind of talks about these percentages, and that's out of the Renaissance Periodization 2.0 book. Dr. Mike Israetel is a dude there to look for if you want to look for him on Instagram or anything like that. And so this is the mountain. Joshua thought this was really funny. This is the amount of energy, okay, you have in a given day. Okay, so this is literally amount. Get it? All right. And we'll draw, let's go a little lightning bolt here for energy. Okay, we'll get into what that is in just a little bit. So then we've got these plains, and this mountain is the most important thing, but the mountain sits atop what we're going to call the hormonal plains. Okay? Hormonal plains. And this is basically the setup of your body hormonally. And so this has to do with your genetics, but it also has to do with what you're doing and how your body is reacting to the environment around you. And we'll kind of talk about how a couple of key hormones affect you. There are other hormones like ghrelin, things that signal to us that we're full or we're hungry, things like that. We won't cover today, but you'll kind of get pieces of it. So we've got the amount, okay, of energy we need. We've got the hormonal plains, okay? But this little iron tribe dude, on his way to his goals atop the mountain, okay, of nutrition, is also going to have to pass over these hills of macronutrients, okay? And these three macronutrients we're going to talk about are protein, carbs, and fat, specifically. And they're all a little bit different, but we'll kind of outline the differences between those and what they're there for, okay? It's important, if you're going to scale the whole mountain to your goals, that you get over the little foothills of understanding fat, protein, and carbs, okay? The water down here is hydration. Know some words about that? Okay. Hydration. And something people don't understand about river water is there's a lot of rocks in it. And so we'll talk about salt a little bit. And then we're going to talk about this little dude's watch and timing and how important that is. Because a lot of times we get stuck in our journey, okay, with like food timing and hydration, but that's really not what it's all about. Really, the amount is the most important thing. So that's going to be kind of the trajectory of what we're talking about on this handout, okay? So whip this out, and we've got at the top here, what do you need energy-wise? Now, if you guys saw my little promo videos, we have a little BMR on your inbody, okay? And that is relatively how much energy you would need at bed rest, okay? This is your basal metabolic rate. I have to unbutton my coat. BMR, basal metabolic rate, okay? And this has to do with you carrying your bones around, you carrying your muscles around, all your muscles being active all day, all that good stuff. And so you want to make sure that you have a rough estimate of what that is. The inbody helps us to do that. The only thing is, that is the average. That's like the median, okay? So for someone like me that is average size, that is pretty generally correct. But for someone, like, let's talk about me as a body type, okay? Joshua is a body type. And then think someone that's relatively thin. Let's use Lamont as a body type, okay? He's got more like a leaner frame, okay? So the difference is, if we all eat the same amount, most of Lamont's energy is going to go to movement, okay? Maybe like bounce his legs or something like that. That's why he doesn't carry a lot of mass on him, generally speaking, unless he works out a bunch and gets really strong, you know? Then you're stimulating your muscle a little bit differently. Me, I'm more of what we call a mesomorph, okay? I'm right in the middle. Like half of my energy will go to mass, half of my energy will go to, you know, me bouncing my leg and my mom being like, stop, you're shaking the forest, you know, that kind of thing. But then Joshua, a lot of his is going to go to weight, right? He's got a heavier set frame, and so we have a little bit different of a BMR. If we all weighed the same, Lamont would take a little bit more energy on a given day because his body uses more energy, right? Whereas Joshua wouldn't take as much energy because his body would pack it on his weight to do the same things if we were eating at what we call maintenance calories. And so this BMR, understanding that, is the first step to that. So if you have your inbody, you can see the BMR on there. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you, I weigh about 185 pounds, and my BMR since I started here, first was around 1900, now it's around 1950. Put on a couple of pounds of muscle since I started working here. So that's mine. But you can also use this little formula, okay? Which is you're gonna think about your ideal weight, okay? Your ideal weight would be guys, about 10% body fat, ladies, somewhere between 15 to 20% body fat. So you can just kind of think about that, and you're like, what would be my ideal number, okay? And then you're going to multiply that by 10 to 11, depending on your muscle mass. So if I say I'm 180, I multiply that by 10, it's 1,800 calories, right? But my BMR is 1950. So it's really like a factor of like 10.6, right? I've got a decent amount of muscle mass. So I'm going to multiply mine by like 10.6. So you can do that, and you can write that. You've got little spaces up there on the worksheet. So I want you to have a number in mind because we're going to play around with this number. We're going to tell you why. So what I would do is, let's say I multiplied 180 pounds. This is that other option, right? So 180 pounds times 11. That's going to equal 1980, okay? Now 30 calories is not that huge of a difference. It's literally like one bite of an Oreo, not even like the whole thing, right? So it's not going to make a huge difference, and that's going to play out when we try and manipulate these numbers. Yeah, what's up, Tiffany?
Are you the ideal weight, not your weight currently?
Your ideal weight, yeah. And so this would be like your lean weight. And the reason that we can play around with this is like, let's say I wanted to be 170. I really wanted to cut down, okay? 170 times 11, we can just do the same way, right? 1,700 plus 170 is going to be 1,870. So that means I would just guesstimate that a little bit low, which means that I would lose a little bit more weight, which is what I'm trying to do if I'm trying to get down to 170. Does that make sense? So this is a good way to estimate your BMR. Now this is all going to come to fruition after like 3 to 6 weeks of you trying your diet. You're going to realize how your body's responding. Either you're going to be losing weight or gaining weight or staying the same. And then we can use that information, okay? That kind of using that information is actually from the Vertical Diet by Stan Efferding. He's got a doctor that he hangs out with. I can't remember his name off the top of my head right now. But the Vertical Diet, that would just be try the calories you're eating right now, see if you're gaining weight or losing weight over the next couple of weeks, and that's going to give you a judgment call on whether or how this is affecting you, right? So that's your basal metabolic rate. And if you look at our little description of that, you have that down here. It's your maintenance calories for your body and its systems excluding movement. So when you are at bed rest, okay? So for most of us, there are these other 3 things that contribute to this number. Because here's the thing, I don't burn 1,980 calories in a day, or 1,950. I burn closer to 2,600. And the reason for that is these other 3 things on that graph, right? So we'll kind of go from the bottom one, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. That's what it's going to be. We abbreviate that as NEAT because it's neat. And I heard Michelle talking about how you were walking after your meals, right? So that would be under, if I don't consider that exercise, I would categorize that under this. This is movement that is outside of exercise, right? And so when I do this movement outside of exercise, hey Corey, do we have any more of those the sheets? Yeah. Okay, I think KJ. Oh, KJ, you got one? Do you have one of the? Yeah. These? Okay. All right. We're all good. Oh, perfect. Love it. I'm glad I dubbed you. Okay. So non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So anything else that we do to raise our body temperature, that makes us breathe a little bit hotter, right? That's going to contribute. Typically speaking, this is going to add about 10% for most people, okay? If you have an office job, like you walk up the stairs to your house and downstairs to your house, to your car, back from your car, maybe you go to the grocery store, you walk around the grocery store. All that kind of adds up to about 1%, okay, or 10%. So this is going to add a factor of 0.1, okay? We're going to develop an activity factor out of these three, so we'll kind of draw a bracket on it to that. But this is going to add about 10% or 0.1, okay, to our BMR for most people. Now, if you go on another 2 miles of walking, okay, there's this rule. I can't remember his name right now, but he came up with it. He's from Harvard. Okay, ooh, Harvard. And that's going to be that a mile is about 100 calories. A mile is about 100 calories. Okay, so 1 mile, roughly speaking, equals 100 calories. If we weigh a decent amount, like obviously it's different amount of calories for me to run a mile than Joshua to run a mile, right? But roughly we can use this. And so 2 miles would be about another, 180 calories or 200 calories. So we can raise this number by a 0.1 for every 2 more miles that we do, okay, in a given day. And so you can accumulate that around meals is a really good time. We'll talk about why that is when we use the hormonal piece, but 1 mile, about 100 calories. So our non-exercise activity thermogenesis, or N.E.A.T, it's what you burn moving every day, often different for personality types, right? If you are bouncing your legs all the time, you would have a higher N.E.A.T factor. So it might be so high. I know Jackson Sprayberry, he's a member here. He's a thinner dude, very mobile, okay? Very active. He's a principal as well, so he's all over school all the time, so he's always moving. And he's like, CJ, I want to gain weight. And it's like, we're going to have to feed you so many calories because I know you're always moving, that type of thing. So he's got a high N.E.A.T, okay? Then we've got the thermogenic effect of food. This is T.E.F, is how it's abbreviated. And this is also generally 0.1 to the activity factor, or 10% for most people. Now, you can raise this by, if around a meal, you drink some tea or you drink some coffee, right? It raises your body temperature. You might even sweat a little bit, start breathing hot. Another thing is if you use a thermogenic. So we've got one of those from Precision Labs. Not Precision Labs. Prestige, that's right. Prestige Labs. I get Precision Nutrition and Prestige Labs in my head mixed up. But the Thermogenic is going to make you burn hotter, right? That's going to make your body bias burning fat, because just think all of your organs are raised in temperature, and around them you got subcutaneous fat, and so it becomes more likely that that fat around those organs is going to be burned for energy for that process, right? So thermogenic effect of food. Now the other thing, and we'll get to this when we talk about protein, protein makes the body burn hotter than any other macromolecule. Okay, fat, your body doesn't have to do anything to fat if it doesn't want to, and it'll just go right to your fat stores. Okay, it literally breaks it down and then puts it back as fat. Right? It doesn't take any energy. It takes little to no energy. Your carbs start breaking down in the mouth. It's very easy for your body to break down carbs, especially if they don't have a lot of fiber. So it doesn't take a lot of energy. Protein are big molecules that are all formed and folded. And so your body has to do a lot of things. It actually doesn't start fully breaking it down until it gets into your colon, into your intestines. And then the juices start breaking that down and unfolding that protein. It has to go to your liver, and then your liver breaks it down fully and decides where else it's going, and will ship it out of there. And it doesn't ship all that much to our skeletal muscle. We're talking here about making muscle, but that's not most of the protein's job in the body. Okay, that is like 1/5 of the protein's job in the body. It is the last thing that your body's thinking about is putting on muscle mass, because it has to have a lot of extra calories to put on muscle mass. So it doesn't want to do that. So all that to say, protein makes the body burn hotter. And we will talk about the ideal amount of protein for you. Okay? That thermogenic effect of food is what your diet burns. Okay? Protein requires the most energy to digest. And vegetables can be difficult. If we have a lot of fiber in those vegetables, and those can both increase that. Now, you can also run into problems with eating raw food, where it just kind of clunks around in your colon and can kind of hurt the gut lining. that is also an issue. So make sure you cook your vegetables. But if you can stomach the vegetables and it doesn't give you a lot of dietary distress, that's another way to up the thermogenic effect of food. Okay? Last little piece of this is our exercise activity thermogenesis. Okay, E.A.T for short. And this is also going to be point 1. So those of you that I've given or done kind of this math in front of you, I'll be like, there's a non-workout calories and there are workout calories. And on the workout day, you're going to use this number, 1950 or 1980 or 1870, however you figure that out. With the workout, it's going to be an activity factor of 1.3, and non-workout is going to be an activity factor of 1.2, right? So 20% over whatever my basal metabolic rate is, and 30% over whatever my basal metabolic rate is. The reason for that I estimate 10% for that, is that we're doing this for about 20, 30 minutes, right? If you're going to go out and run 2 to 3 miles, you probably do that in 20, 30 minutes, right? So it's literally a time comparison of that type of intensity, right? So I can estimate during one of our on-track workouts, we're burning somewhere between 200 and 300 calories, right? Which would literally be 1 factor of 10 of this, or maybe 20%, right? Two factors of 10 of that. And so we're going to get up to, and I'm going to need, oh, my phone's over there. Oh, snap. Okay, so a little bit more advanced now. Let's go with that 1950 number, right? So I'm going to take and this is the formula. It's going to be your BMR. I appreciate you. It's going to be your BMR times your activity factor. Equals what you burn. We'll draw a box around that. Okay, so here's how that looks for me. So I've got that, I'm going to use that 1950 number just because that's off my inbody. That's going to be a little bit more exact than me guesstimating using math, right? Times an activity factor of 1.3. So we can guess that if I came in here and I did a typical power workout, I would actually burn 25, 35, okay, over the course of that day, right? And so if we're doing barbell lifts, and you guys know me, I'm going to lift a heavy barbell, right? This is also going to add to my exercise activity thermogenesis by what we call our EPOC, our excess post-exercise oxygen consumption. So when you do barbell work, you burn more calories quicker, but your body can't put it back as quick, right? When you're running, once you stop running, you stop burning calories. When you're weightlifting, like your muscles are so shook up, they're like, we need energy right now. You're gonna burn some fat just walking to the car, sitting down, driving home. I mean, you might even feel it if you don't eat anything after you work out. You might not be like good in the head for like 2 hours, right? If you really dug in there, which is another benefit of carbs, but we'll get to that. And so this is how much I burn. Now, what we're going to do if we want to lose weight or gain weight is eat below or above this, okay? So we're going to move on down to your simple weight math. We've got, mathematically we understand that if you eat less than what you burn, then you will lose weight because your body will burn fat instead of the food to get the energy that it needs. In the same way, if you eat over what you burn, then you will gain weight, and your maintenance calories are going to be your BMR times your activity factor, okay? So this is, if I wanted to stay the same weight, and I want my muscles to totally recover, I would eat this amount of calories or a little bit more. So I gave my body everything that it used, right? But if I don't, or if I'm trying to lose weight, I'm going to go down. And we can go down as a percentage, right? So like, let's say I wanted to go 30% down. Well, I just went 30% up, right, to get here. So that's why oftentimes we tell you to go at your BMR, because that would be 30% down, right? That would be the most I would probably ask you to cut, because you guys are living regular lives. If you were cutting down for a show, though, we would keep your protein up and cut your carbs almost down to almost nothing except around your workout. And keep your fats up enough for health. Okay, so you can cut down more than your BMR. It's just not sustainable for a long time unless that's your job and you have to like feed the kids, and so that's the reason that you have to do it. Because you're gonna get into we'll talk about it when we talk about protein. When you eat enough protein, you're like fueling your brain. You're like fueling your heart. You're like fueling your veins, okay? When you're cutting yourself down, you're taking that away from your recovery. So losing weight feels like being hungry and in more pain than I want to be, right? But on the opposite side, if I want to gain weight, I'm going to eat more than this. So I've actually been on 3,000 calories a day for 2 months now, and I put on a couple of pounds of muscle. I was at 177 when I started, and I'm at 187, just kind of sitting there right now over the course of 2 months. 5 pounds a month. I'm happy with that. I think I'm gaining some muscle, feeling stronger, all that good stuff.
Look good.
So we can go down or up. We appreciate that. It's the suit, though. It's the suit, though. So we're going to go minus 500, right? So if I wanted to lose weight, I could, and this is the pound a week, okay? The pound a week is 500 a day, right? So if I went down 500 a day, I'd be down at 2035, or about 1950. You see how we're like an Oreo away there between my BMR, or what we tell you to do for that weight loss, right? So a pound of fat is roughly 3,500 calories. Some science says 4,000 calories for a pound of fat, but it's around there, okay? So if you want to, and this would be, like I'm going to track it, I'm going to weigh myself every week, and I should see something close to a pound loss a week. We know after about 6 weeks, if I'm not down 6 pounds, if I'm only down 1 pound, something else is going on, okay? And this is the other piece. So in the obesity code, he talks about these kind of two components, and oftentimes people stop here. They're like, look, it's math. You should be losing weight. It's not, well, you're a human. You're not a math equation, right? So you have these other components, all these intercompeting systems. Oftentimes I talk about the body as a community, right? It's a joke, but it's also not, because your hormones play in a big way to this, okay? And you got 4 that are really affected by working out and we think are key to you understanding your metabolism. And the obesity code specifically harks on these 2, insulin and cortisol. But we'll talk about thyroid hormone and testosterone and progesterone as well. So moving down, we got insulin, which you guys may hear about insulin when people are talking about diabetes or anything like that. But insulin is going to be spiked when we eat food. When you taste food, even artificial sweeteners, your insulin spikes a little bit. Now when the actual sugar gets in your stomach and your body's like, understands that it's sugar, then that insulin spikes even more, right? So we get this thing called the glycemic index for carbs, where bread's 100 and then certain things are like over that, really spikes your sugar and all that kind of stuff. But that glycemic index kind of falls to the wayside when we start eating protein and fats as well, okay? Because those lower the glycemic index. So if you're eating a whole meal, glycemic index doesn't really make much sense. But what we do know about insulin is it's a storage hormone. It tells your body, let's take these calories and let's put it in the cell, okay? Which cell? Your fat cell or your muscle cell? That has to do with what you're doing activity-wise throughout the day, right? Where are you pumping blood? You can think of your blood as like a river and it splits, right? Does it go to fat? I'm going to store energy for later because I don't need it right now. Or is it going to go to muscle? Hey, there's an obvious demand on my survival. I'm going to need to build this up so that I'm a stronger, more formidable human being the next time I show up at, to fight a tiger or work out. Your body doesn't really know the difference, right? When the barbell's real heavy, it feels like fighting a tiger. All right, so then we've got cortisol, which is a necessary stress hormone. It's anti-inflammatory. For most, it peaks in the morning, partially responsible for the rush we feel from caffeine. It sends blood to the muscles. It is a fight-or-flight hormone. And too much, therefore, can leave the body overwhelmed, like always in fight or flight, right? And overstressed and under-recovered. And so what we need for cortisol is a healthy cycle. Working out helps that healthy cycle because that's going to be the peak of that cortisol cycle, right? If you were going to freak out, you will freak out during that workout. Like, it's going to happen. But then you want a time where you can get back down as well. Okay, I don't need you going to bed that way because you're not going to get good sleep. You're not going to be down. This is also like, we want to make sure that we don't drink caffeine close to when we go to sleep. The half-life of caffeine for most people, some people digest caffeine faster, some people digest slower, is going to be about 6 hours. So if you drink some caffeine, like long or closer to bedtime than 6 hours before, that caffeine's still in your system. Whether you're used to it or not, that caffeine's still traveling around. And that's going to spike that stress hormone, right? And so we can use this. A good time for caffeine might be an hour or 2 before my workout, right? And then I could peak that. Or in the morning if you got other things to do, right? Or some of us are like morning and afternoon. Like that's me right now, right? And during divinity school I was that way too. Almost no. But you can figure out about how much caffeine you need by just watching yourself over a couple of days, okay? For most people, 400 milligrams is a peak. It's like 4 cups of coffee. It's like one Bang energy and 1 cup of coffee, however you want to split that up. But there's a range, right? Joshua can drink 700 milligrams of coffee, and it's not a big deal. Me, if I drank 700 milligrams of coffee, I'd be really, really jittery. So about a quarter of the way down this cup, you're going to see me start to get really, really jittery, okay? But that's that. Thank you guys so much for that. Okay, next we got thyroid hormone. This is the master of metabolism, quote unquote. Look it up on Google. It's on the descriptive, this first description right there. It is responsible for turning your energy burning up or down, and is reflected in appetite as well. It seems that the more intense the workout, the more that this is stimulated. Okay, we'll talk about how the workouts affect all that. And then testosterone and progesterone, a lower or unbalance, those hormones can cause low energy and fat gain, among a host of other effects. So the benefit of working out is that it raises your cortisol, it raises your thyroid hormone, and it raises your testosterone. Okay? Progesterone for ladies, going all out intense seems to drop progesterone a little bit, but getting a good like bodybuilding set seems to up it. Okay? So that think your good Iron Tribe workout is doing all the right things for you hormonally. The other thing is it makes your body more receptive to insulin. So your body's really ready to put energy back after it gets energy taken out from your workout, right? Which is also why, and we'll move on from the hormonal plains down to the foothills, we're going to talk about carbs, okay? Carbs are key to recovery. So right post-workout, it is good to get a Gatorade or some, I'm not going to say some sweets, but a good carb source. So maybe if you were going to have pasta on a given day, post-workout's the time to do that. And you want to get carbs in as soon as possible post-workout so you can start refilling your glycogen stores in your muscles, okay? Your muscles have these stores in them of energy that they build up. If you didn't eat anything, it will build it up to about 70% in about 8 hours after you work out, okay? If you eat something, you can be back up to 70% in like 2 hours. Okay, you get in there really fast. So you might see me have a Gatorade post-workout, and this is the reason why. Another thing to think about is that bodybuilders that use synthetic hormones use 2 synthetic hormones, and those are testosterone, makes sense, bigger muscles, and insulin. They use insulin. And it's going to be post-workout while all that kind of stuff is open up, so the cells can grab onto that insulin, and then when things are going through the bloodstream, they notice there's insulin on the cell. They don't really notice there's a gradient. But it can get pulled right into the cell. And they can go into the muscle cell, increase the size of the muscle cell. Okay? So insulin is going to be great for helping you recover more quickly. Right? So you're going to put your carbs around your workout. You might have heard us say that. Eat your carbs around your workout. You'd also, like just kind of timing-wise, 2 to 3 hours before your workout is when you want to finish your pre-workout meal. So it's fully digested by the time that you get your workout. We'll talk about it a little bit more in timing. But you can flip that over. We've got a little diagram for how I want you to think about the different macromolecules. We've got that hormonal effect we're working on there. I already kind of covered it. But carbs are basically going to fuel our movement, okay? Movement or recovery. And they've got 4 calories per gram. Okay? 4 calories per gram. Protein also has 4 calories per gram, so easy to think of those 2 things. And at 4 calories per gram, carbs are a great quick source of energy in simple forms. Okay, think Gatorade, right? Sugars, pastas, things like that. And generally quite nutrient dense when in bright colored fruits and vegetables. You'll notice on the email that I sent you that I also sent you this like what to eat document. It's got like a red, yellow, green foods on there. But then if you scroll down, it's like good, you know, not so good, bad foods. But if you scroll down, it'll say eat the rainbow. And it's got a bunch of fruits and vegetables on this like color wheel there. And actually, different colors of vegetables and fruits in nature. Like, how are you supposed to know before multivitamins that you were getting all the vitamins that you needed? I don't know. I don't know before multivitamins how I knew. But humans, a while back, could see color. There are lots of fruits and vegetables that are way different colors, right? So it seems to be that red, okay, so think your red meats or your bell peppers, if you will, lots of B vitamins. And B vitamins help us to create energy out of carbs, okay? C vitamins, more orange or yellow, right? Lemons, you got oranges, things like that. Purples, I'm not really sure what purple is. Maybe vitamin E, I'm not even sure. There's actually vitamin E in avocados, right? So maybe like a green. But think about eating the rainbow, and if we fill the diet in with more colors, we can get more vitamins from our food, right? We're going to get most of our colors from vegetables and fruits. So we could do that. The other component of that is that like blueberries, really bright, vibrant, have a lot of antioxidants. It's literally like you rust your body over time for breathing too much oxygen in and out. And so antioxidants help with that. Green teas, right? Coffee's got antioxidants in it. So think those deep colors in nature are going to give you more of those antioxidants, help you out a little bit. Raise your thermogenic effect of food. Okay. Then we've got fats as well. Fats we're going to need for health. I want you to think about fats as an oil. I have a candle on here. They can be used as energy, but they also cover everything in your body. All the cells, the outside of that, is a semi-permeable membrane, which means it's made of multiple types of fats. Okay? The fats in proportion that we need, your saturated fat is about 50% of the fat that you need. Your mono unsaturated fat, that means there's one, like, the saturated fat's totally closed, okay? Hard to get access to. Think your grass-fed butter, your beef tallow, things like that. Your monounsaturated has like one hole in it, one gap in it. This is going to be like your olive oil, your avocados, okay? Monounsaturated fats, you want that to be about 25%. And then your polyunsaturated fats, also want that to be about 25%. Now there's this misnomer here because they're just talking about the structure of it, okay? When you're just talking about the structure of a molecule, you don't really have the history of it and why it's that way. And also a polyunsaturated fat, we don't know how many holes it has. It just has more than one. Poly just means more than one. It actually means many, but in this context, it just means more than one. And so we want to try and get natural polyunsaturated fats. That's going to be in your fish oil. That's going to be in your cod liver oil. Icelandic folks are really known for their cod liver oil. If we take omega-3 tablets, we want to get about a gram or 2 grams of those omega-3s a day. And that's going to give you your EPA and your DHA, which is a thinner fat. And you can kind of think of this as fat thickness, okay? So we get caught up in our Western diet eating a lot of saturated fats, a lot of butter, and it's not necessarily grass-fed butter, so it's not necessarily the best butter. But we also need to get like our fish and our vegetable oils in there as well, okay? So how you can improve your fats really instantly is if you're using a vegetable oil or a canola oil, trade it out for a cold-pressed virgin olive oil, okay? I use a cold-pressed virgin olive oil in just about everything I cook that I use on pan. And I use that because it's not super heated, okay? Those vegetable oils, they're cleaned. They're heated so much, they're like boiled, and then their fats break down. They're not only polyunsaturated fats, they are hydrogenated oils. Let's see, how to write it on here. Superheated hydrogenated oils. So if you think sugar's bad for you, because it gets into your system and it goes right to energy, okay? A volatile fat, one that's ready to break down, is even worse, because these are 9 calories per gram, okay? So if you eat 1 gram of carbs, one gram of sugar, like, shame on you, right? 4 calories in the wrong direction. But if you eat 1 gram of fat in the wrong direction, that's 9 calories, okay? We're almost, 1/19th of the way there, or 190th of the way to my BMR already, because I have 1 gram of bad fat, okay? And your body doesn't know what to do when it gets that much energy. So if your body can't deal with, I think the number's like, if you eat 20 grams of sugar, without doing any movement, like your body's like, gets overwhelmed and then it starts going towards fat. Okay, that would only be 10 grams, maybe 8 grams of a bad vegetable oil, okay? So you want to make sure we're getting in good oils. Then the last one is your protein for building and repair. And I like the way I wrote this, so I'll just read it off of here. The machinery of the body. This largely makes up the structure of your being. Your heart, veins, brain, lungs, other internal organs, gut lining, skin, and skeletal muscle are made up of protein. Also, functional pieces of each cell that are not hormones or cell membranes or receptors for those hormones are also made of protein. So everything that moves in your body, that like acts on its own in your body, is made out of protein. This is a prerequisite for repairing the body. Therefore, if you do not ingest this on a regular basis, your body will go to your stores of it when you need it, i.e. your muscles. So, if you don't want to lose muscle, effectively there is no place to store protein on the body. Okay? Muscle, if we want to keep muscle, there's really no place to store it. You store it in the muscle. That's the only place it's at. So, you're going to want, and we'll go through these factors here. So protein is number one for me when I'm making up you guys' diet. And I want this usually to be about 0.8 to 1 gram per pound body weight. And this is ideal body weight. Okay, ideal body weight. So for my 180 pound frame, I want to get 180 grams of protein if I'm doing my regular power workouts. The other reason for this, that this is reasonably high. 1 gram per pound body weight is what I call the Arnold factor. Because he's the first person that I heard it from was Arnold Schwarzenegger. 1 gram per pound body weight, you know. So that's a good one to go with. It seems high for folks, but the reason for that is, especially if you're eating on a calorie deficit, your body's already starting to break down, so you want to give your body back some protein, right? You want it to have enough protein at the ready. Now, the other thing about protein is you can't store it, right? We already said that. If your body puts on muscle and then you don't give your body more protein for like 4 or 5 hours and it eats through that protein, it's going to start eating muscle. Okay? So this means every 3 to 4 hours we want to get another serving of protein. And an easy way to think about this is your perfect serving size is your ideal body weight divided by 5. Okay? So for my 180 pound frame, that is going to be, let's see, 150 would be 30, and then it's another 30 divided by 5 would be 36 grams. 36 grams for me. Okay, and what this means, about 20 grams, your muscle protein synthesis is going to start up. And the way muscle protein synthesis, no, let's not draw that graph, it'll be too much. This would maximize it. Okay, so about 20 grams, I would get about 80% of my muscle protein synthesis going. If I increase that up to 36 grams, then that I would get 100%, right? 80% to 100%. And over the course of the day, we want to eat about your body weight, ideal body weight. Now, from that ideal body weight as well, for your fats are going to be the next thing that you need for health. Okay? Your factor is going to be 0.3. You're going to multiply your body weight by 0.3. So like 1/3. We could think of, just for easy math, that would be around 60 grams. I think 0.3 times 180 is really around 54. But that's going to be a little bit lower because that's 9 calories per gram, right? It takes up a lot. And then your carbs are going to fill in the rest of your calories. Okay? You actually need about 1 gram per pound body weight per day. But carbs are really easy for your body to make. They can make it out of protein, it can make it out of fat. Okay? So if you don't eat that many carbs, your body's just going to make it out of fat and you'll be fine. You'll have to run off of fat. It won't be, like you might get a headache or something a little bit, but your body will be mad at you because you're not giving enough food. But that is what it is, right? Trying to lose weight, okay, body. But what we need is about 0.5 grams to 1 gram per pound body weight. And when we get that, I'm not going to take the time to multiply all that out for you. Actually, I might do it at the end. But the way that works out is I just want that to add up to this, okay? Because this breakdown is subsidiary to this. Many of you athletes that have me as a coach will know I want you to focus on 2 numbers, right? I want you to focus on the calories that you should be eating and then your protein. I really don't care how the fat and the carbs balance out, other than you're going to feel better if you give yourself carbs after your workout. That's it. You'll get back to thinking straight earlier if you get some carbs after your workout. All right, that moves us on to hydration and timing. So hydration, what isn't fat or protein on your body or carbs stored in those cells, okay, is salt water. Okay, 70% of your lean body mass is salt water. That's right, water with salt in it. Okay, and this is the argument for salt. Your cells need a gradient to move things in and out of your cells. Okay, it needs a chemical gradient. Salt provides that chemical gradient. Your Nerves and brain need an electrochemical gradient, which means that they need different chemicals, but they also need them to have plus or minuses attached to them, right? An electron given to them or an electron taken away. And so you need that, and that also comes from salt. And iodine is a key component in thyroid hormone. It makes up part of the thyroid hormone. So you need your iodine, and there's iodized salt, table salt. Okay, you need salt. It's actually worse for your body to be out of salt than it is for your body to be out of water. You would die more quickly. Now, because of that, your body will hold on to salt. Actually, it holds on to about 40 grams of salt in your body on a given time. If you go lower in salt, because you're not holding on to a lot of water, maybe you're low on carbs, right? So when you're dieting, you're even lower on salt. Your body won't hold as much water, which then makes it difficult for your body to do all the functions in the cell or in the brain or in the heart that it needs to do. Okay, so you need salt and you need water. And if you eat more salt, your body will remind you that you need more water. And when you drink more water, you will churn through more salt because you pee more, right? So anytime salt or anytime water comes out of your body, salt is also leaving your body, okay? Salt. Okay. I've seen some really positive effects for people just by taking in a little bit more salt. Your body has a measure of it, just like it has a measure of, am I hydrated or not, right? Do you need water or not? You should also be able to tell by tasting some salt if your body wants salt or not. If it doesn't want salt, it'll taste really, really super salty. And then you're like, okay, I don't need more salt. But if it tastes good, you probably need some more salt. Okay? So salt your food to taste. That's a good way to put it. In the book, The Salt Fix, they talk about the actual statistics of people that would be hurt by having too much salt. And that's about 20% of the population. Even including, and it's about, I think 40% of the people with blood pressure issues. That's still lower than half. That's 60% will benefit from having more salt. And it's even worse for those people having low salt. Their body has difficulty balancing salt. And so it would literally be better to get more because your body can pee it out really easily, okay? But it can't get salt. It can't just suck up salt through the environment, right? You have to eat it. So the other thing about this is I believe it's your kidneys. Yeah, they filter out the blood. They filter 40 grams of salt a day. Okay, so you're not wanting to eat a tablespoon of salt, which is 1 gram. 1 gram salt is kind of ludicrous, okay? And I will also read the Salt Fix if you want the whole thing. It's written by the guy that did 200 academic papers on the impacts of salt and health and all that kind of stuff. But he states in there that the salt raises blood pressure argument comes from a scientific experiment in 1903 on 6 subjects. It was 1903, so who wants to guess what race those people were and what gender those people were? Probably looked a lot like me, to be honest, okay? So, doesn't account for everyone. That one study doesn't. So, make sure that, just try some salt. If you feel better, obvious results, okay? Check with your doctor, please. I'm not a doctor. Took a precision nutrition class, but that's really it. So, I read a couple books. So, make sure, try some salt, okay? Drink your water, important for hydration. And then timing. So carbs around your workout 2 to 3 hours before and immediately after your workout to recharge. If you're trying to lose weight, you might not eat a lot of carbs other than that. Maybe some vegetables with breakfast and some vegetables with dinner, but not a lot around your workout, okay? If you're working out in the morning, you might have lunch and you can eat lunch like a king, you know? Go get you a sub sandwich because you earned those carbs, right? You're not going to want to eat that really far away from your workout because your workout and that insulin sensitivity spiking peaks at around 2 hours and then usually goes for 6 to 8 hours for most people. So after 6 to 8 hours after your workout, your body is no longer in like an upregulated state for sensing insulin, right? So you don't want to eat a lot of carbs away from your workout unless you're trying to put on mass. I've been eating a couple pizzas on Saturday and Sunday nights, okay? It's been showing up as muscle on Monday. I've been really surprised. But it's because I'm giving my body signals, right? Heavy signals for 6 days a week. And then the couple days that I'm off, my body can actually put on mass. What do you think is going to bias putting on mass? It's going to bias putting on muscle mass because I'm demanding it. of my body, right? So that's that timing piece. There's another timing piece that has to do with periodization. Okay, so if you have been dieting for a long time, let's say 6 months, and the obesity code makes this argument as well. Any diet works until it doesn't. And that's because, let's say we'll just do a little graph of like hormones, okay? Let's say your hormone levels are here, thyroid hormone, testosterone, all that. But I'm gonna diet down. So I'm only giving myself 0.3 grams of fat per pound body weight, okay, ideal body weight. Like ideal body weight like that. And so I'm not giving it a lot, but also I'm not giving it enough energy to fully recover. Remember, I'm burning 25-35 every day, and I'm only getting 1950. So my body doesn't take this energy and make hormones out of it anymore. It's just trying to survive. It's using it for energy. It's like, okay, after this workout, I gotta walk from here to the car. Like, that costs 4 calories, you know? Like, where am I gonna get that? Fat stores. I burn through all my carbs in the workout, so I have to go for my fat stores, right? Maybe my body starts breaking down protein, because that's like easier than going somewhere else on the body to get that fat, or something like that. So I'm gonna burn through these, and so what happens with these hormones is they all dip. And eventually, we get to this place of like low hormones where we start to plateau, right? Where we don't see a weight change. I'm doing what I need to do. I'm hitting all the right numbers, but I'm seeing this plateau, right? All right, the math is working. So then, where we run into an issue, right? On our little run through to our goal, right here on the top of the mountain. Here's a little flag. How about that? Little flag right there on top of that. That's our goal. Okay. I'm getting stuck in the hormonal plains. Okay, I can't. The amount doesn't even affect it because I'm not even getting there. Okay, I already traversed this. We talked about this. Okay, I'm eating the right amount of protein, coach. I promise. But I'm getting stuck here. So then we're going to do what we call maintenance. Okay, this is the amount of calories I'm giving it. I'm then going to give this amount of calories. These are my maintenance calories. Exactly how much I burn. And so when I start doing that, literally what happens is my BMR will go up. My body's like, finally I can recover. Even when you're sitting down, if I start feeding myself 25-35, maybe the next day, my body actually burns 20-50 of that. Maybe the next day, my body actually burns 22-50 of that. And then eventually, over the course of a week or a couple of weeks, my body gets used to 25-35. I may gain a pound or two on maintenance, but then I'm going to stay solid. I'm going to stay right there at that number. And all that's going to happen is my body can use some of these fats now to create hormones again. And so that's going to go back up. And then when I get my hormones back up, my testosterone, I'm raring to go to the gym. You know, I really want to hit these workouts. Let's see, what else? My metabolism is burning really fast. I get home from workout, and it used to be that I would need to lay on the couch for 2 hours. But now I'm going to go ahead and knock out the rest of my to-do list because I feel energized. Because I'm giving myself more energy. Right? So then those hormones start to come back up. So when we hit that plateau, okay, or when we've lost about 10% of our body weight originally, what's likely happening is our hormones are on that downhill slope, okay, and it's about to level out. So when we hit that plateau for dieting, we need to go back to maintenance, okay? It's similar for gaining too. Your body gains 20, 25 pounds, and it's like, okay, I'm not carrying around any more weight right now. So you literally bring your calories back down to maintenance, and it gets used to a new normal, right? A new normal at this increase. Maybe you're not 20 pounds anymore. Maybe it cuts back down. You're 15 pounds above where you were, but your body gets used to that. And then you can increase again. And relatively, your maintenance should be as long as your cut. Okay? Your maintenance should be as long as your cut or your gain. And that way, your body, you allow those hormones to level out. Okay? This has been a helicopter ride over the landscape of nutrition. Okay? Any questions? Any questions? What's up, Ryan?
So you have to just make sure that you have the correct amount of fats in your diet for your ideal weight in order for you to process the optimal amount of hormones to get the results that you want.
So, kind of. It's a nuanced thing. So, your hormones are at some level right now, right? So, if they're good, if everything's like pretty high and balanced, then you could cut down for a while. And your body will still make some hormones. It's just going to make less and less and less as you lose weight and you're demanding more of your body to take the fat off of your body to use that as energy, right? So eventually we're gonna get down. When we run into a plateau, we're actually gonna have to increase above this. Okay, so we're gonna increase calories, and those calories would increase in proportion. Another way to think about calories is like you want to go 30, 30, 40 for our weightlifters. Okay, so 30% protein, 30% fat, 40% carbs. So if I'm down at 1950, I'm not getting nearly as much fats at that 30, 30, 40 as I would be at 25, 35, right? That raises all boats. Rising tide raises all boats. So if we're noticing that we're low, or we're noticing that we're plateauing, we may need to go on maintenance just to give our body some relief, right? Because if we don't get enough calories, if we're cutting weight, we are also cutting our hormones slightly, right? So you can only cut for so long before your body it'll just bottom out, right? So 6-week challenge is usually really good. It really shocks the system while the hormones are real high. People are like, I need to get in the gym, and you're feeling that. That's probably your testosterone kicking you in the back of the brain, being like, hey, you need to get moving. Like, we got all this juice ready to go. You got to do something about it. But we want to make sure that if we're plateauing, then we increase that back up. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay, and fats are used for other things too. So hormones, okay, also the outside of the cell, right? That needs to be semi-permeable. So it needs to be hard enough and rigid enough for the cell to keep shape, but it needs to be like thin enough too. So you need your monounsaturated fats and your polyunsaturated fats so that stuff can break through, right? And we've got proteins on the outside that help to shift stuff through certain things. But so the fat is used for a couple of different things. Cellular health, which is like the bulletproof diet. Bulletproof coffee, bulletproof diet. The dude that came up with all of that is big about cellular health and the outside of the membranes and stuff. And then your brain too is a lot of fat. So a lot of times people start to get foggy while they're cutting down in weight, and that makes total sense. You know, you're burning fat, and you're not getting as much fat to your brain to repair your brain that way. Cool. Yeah. What else? Yep.
What sort of intake do you recommend for like early morning workouts? So,
Mm-hmm.
6:30.
Yeah, so you have, in my opinion, you have options there. Stan Efferding, the vertical diet guy, is like, I want something in my system. Now, he's doing bodybuilding workouts. He's not throwing his body around like we are. Like, he's not doing box jumps. He's doing like leg press and stuff like that. So he wants a little bit of protein in his system so that he doesn't cut back on his muscle. If you're trying to lose weight, you have the option of doing that fasted because your muscle glycogen stores have recovered, right? You've been sleeping for 8 hours. Like I said before, if you went without food for 8 hours, your body's going to restore those glycogen stores off of your fat stores on your body. And so you've got about 70% of like your maximum. You could also eat a bigger dinner, some extra carbs for dinner, and then over the night, your body will balance out where those are at. But it's basically like you log those calories, right? They're on your body. Now, they might be on your fat stores when you eat dinner, but the next day, when you're working out fasted, you're going to burn off those calories, right? So as long as the calories are similar, so maybe you increase dinner by 200 or 300 calories, right? And that's going to be what you burn off in the next morning. And then you can eat post-workout. I think the biggest thing for me doing that is eating something post-workout if I'm going to work out fasted, and then realizing you're going to be about 70% of your max self. You're not going to be able to go gung-ho and get a new max that day unless you're like have really refined your form over some time or something like that.
I normally drink a shake about 30 minutes beforehand, protein shake. Is that?
Yeah, that'd be good. So protein shake is like protein grinded into sawdust, right? And so when you put that in your stomach acid, it's going to burn up a lot quicker than like regular protein. Regular protein, your chicken breast or turkey is going to take an hour or two to get fully into your system. That is going to start being in your system in 20 minutes. It's going to be fully into your system in an hour, right? So you probably start that workout 30 minutes later, and then we're actually starting to work out about 45 minutes after, right, that 15 minutes doing the warm-up. And then we're actually starting, so that would be perfect. Yeah, that would be fun.
So you just commented about fasting for the morning workout.
Mm-hmm.
Overall comments about the intermittent fasting diet, good, bad, ugly?
Yeah, so intermittent fasting is really going to affect our insulin. I didn't write insulin up here. Our insulin because and intermittent fasting and fasting in general, let's say when I taste something sweet, my body's going to put some insulin in the system because it's like, hey, we're going to need to digest some carbs. Right now, that's a sweetener. It gets down to my stomach. It's not like sugar. It's down to my stomach, and then my body's like, oh, it wasn't. So it just kind of like hiccup, like pop my insulin, right? If it is sugar, it's going to spike its insulin even more, right, because of that. So what we can get into is this state of insulin resistance, okay, where you're asking your body to produce insulin too much, okay? You're getting it almost constantly. And so your body's like, why do I even need to produce insulin anymore? It's already all over your system. It's covered every cell. And you can think of insulin as plugging into a cell and just being like, hey, put energy here, right? So if your whole body's covered with insulin and all your cells are like, hey, put energy here, you're just going to put mass on, right? So fasting is an ancient way of us downing insulin. So let's say you fasted for 2 days. Okay, not recommending that you guys just go off and fast for 2 days. Talk to your doctors. But if it's not a big deal, you can start with intermittent fasting and expand it. But you fast for 2 days, and eventually that insulin's going to bottom out. Okay, as long as there aren't any other like medical issues, and your body's going to now be set up as if there's no insulin. Right. So the next time that you eat, then that insulin's going to spike. So the benefit of intermittent fasting is you're going a longer time each day without any spike of insulin. Right? You're not eating anything for 16 hours, and then your eating window would be within 8 hours. So this can be a way to get that insulin down, to help your body get away from a state of insulin resistance. And so that can be a good way. I know there are a couple of people that I listen to that do one 24-hour fast a month. And they say the first workout after that is horrible. So your body's not used to like using its energy like that. But then the second or third workout after that fast is really, like you feel really clean, right? And fasting is a good way of cleaning the body too, because then your body has to run off of its own stores. So it gets this extra benefit of like you come in here to work out to get your blood flow through your muscles. But think if you could get your blood flow through the system of burning fat, right? It's like extra reps for your system of burning fat. So I like intermittent fasting on days that I don't work out because I'm asking of peak performance. I don't want to be at 70% ever. I want to be at 100%, right? So I'm eating 3,000 calories a day, even though I burn 25, 35, right? And so everything's topped off. And my strength will go up. My weight will also go up. But I'm biting that right now because I'm trying to gain mass, right? So that kind of becomes the rub. Yeah. Good. Yeah. Any other questions? Ask that like I ask over here. I feel like when we ask you, do you have any other questions? And at the board, it's like, I don't really want to answer any more questions, but I do want to answer more questions. So are there any more questions?
What is what exactly, you may have already covered this part, but what exactly is the activity factor? You were using like 1.2, 1.3, like what exactly is?
Yeah, so this is the activity factor is the exercise activity thermogenesis, the thermogenic effect of food, and the non-exercise activity thermogenesis, okay? It's all of the things that you do actively. So your BMR is not, this is your activity factor. Ag factor. Right? Your BMR, you would burn if you were asleep for the whole day, or if you were like recovering in the hospital. Like that's what you would burn to stay the same weight. So you would want to eat that to stay the same weight. Your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, let's say it's the difference between you walking after every meal or you not. And if you walk after every meal, that's going to increase, right? The thermogenic effect of food, if you're eating, that's really not going to change much. It's going to be very similar. I wouldn't change it. I would really focus on activity level. Or if you did 2 workouts, right? Some of you guys double up. So then on that day, you actually don't burn 1.3 times your BMR. You burn 1.4 times your BMR, right? So that would take this up another 1950, and that would put us at 85, 75, 26, 75, 27, 75. Okay? So more realistically, when I do perform workouts, I'm actually burning 27, 75, which is, this is the rub that I ran into. I was eating 2,600 calories. I was like, that's a little bit over. I think I was at 2750. I think it was at 2750. And I thought I was burning this at perform workouts, but they're longer, right? So I was actually burning this. So my weight wasn't moving. I was eating 2,700 calories a day, and my weight wasn't going up. And I was like, this is crazy. And then I heard a podcast that was like, why do you have a problem with like eating 3,000 calories a day? Everybody needs 3,000 calories a day. And I was like, oh yeah, numbers are just something we use to measure stuff. So I increased it to 3,000, and now my body's doing what I wanted it to do, right? And so that leads us to, this is the benefit of tracking, is that you're going to figure out in a couple of weeks. Like, is that the right number? Well, you can check your weight, and if your weight's going up, you're eating over your basal metabolic rate, or you're eating over your maintenance, right? What you actually burn. And if you check back in 3 weeks and you've gone down in weight, you're probably eating less. But that's only if you stay consistent and you're tracking consistently as well, right? Because then you have something to compare it to. If it gets a lot different, if it's different every day, there's really no way to track it, right? Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Cool. Anything else? What's up, Lamont?
So I feel like I'm more on the same kind of race as you. I'm around that 180, 185, and that since I've been here.
Yeah. What are you trying to do?
Just the hardest part for me is getting enough calories in a day. How are you doing that? I'm saying 3,000 calories. You might get close to that.
Yeah, dude.
I'm
Yeah.
like 2,400 on a good day.
Yeah, I know what that feels like. Yeah, and so that's why I really like Iron Tribe's setup of the food and then shake and then food and then shake and then food, right? That gives you your 5 servings of protein in a day. But what you're probably doing is getting a 20-gram protein shake every time, right? So post-workout, I said my perfect's 36 grams, right? I'm actually taking a 40-gram protein shake. So think about if you're eating 40 grams of protein in each meal and then having 40-gram protein shakes 2 times a day. That would get you up to 200 grams of protein a day. You would be actually surpassing this, okay? And then, so that's going to help you get calories that way. Another easy way to get in more calories if you need to is just liquid calories. Some orange juice, bro. A cup of orange juice, 120 calories. What? Miller Lite, yeah, it's also calories. And that brings us to the alcohol question, which I can address in a second. But liquid calories are a way to go. More frequent feeding, or the vertical diet advocates adding white rice. Okay, pretty easy to digest, and that becomes a key in eating a lot of calories. So if you're going to eat a lot of calories of like just steak and black beans, it would be so difficult for your body to digest all the black beans. You would have such stomach problems. But if you eat a lot of white rice, it's not so bad. Or you might add portions of pasta, you know? And it gets to the point with trying to gain weight where your body doesn't want to and it'll fight you on that. I literally ate 2,400 calories yesterday, so my body didn't want to eat my post-workout. It's just like, no, you're full. And I'm like, no, I'm not. Not for my goals, body. I want you to eat more. And so it literally becomes like tricking your body into eating more, kind of hacking that. And so the other benefit of orange juice is it's got fructose in there. And fructose is also broken down in the liver where your body has to do all the protein stuff. So it gets your liver running. And that is going to make you actually more hungry. So that's another way to do that. There are also very satiating foods. Like potatoes are a high satiety food. You're really satisfied. You eat a whole potato. Like if you just bake the potato. If you mash it up, it's a little bit different. It digests a little bit quicker, right? But if you bake the potato and then you eat it that way, it's going to be really filling. Not only because it's got a decent amount of fiber in there, but also because it's got potassium and sodium. Sodium and potassium together are very high satiety molecules. And so if you eat those together, it'll satisfy you really quick. So if you're on a diet, actually eating a potato as your carbs for a meal, it's not that many carbs, and it's going to keep me satisfied, versus potatoes are a really bad idea for us. I'm getting most of my carbs from white rice that I cook in some bone broth. And so that's another little unlock that Joshua taught me, is get some bone broth and pour that in instead of ounces of water, and that'll pack some protein into that rice too. Give it a little bit of flavor as well. So yeah, it's just kind of figuring out how to do that. So we get to the alcohol question, because there are a lot of questions about alcohol, so I want to get this so I could just fix it in your mind one way. Actually, there's a study done on alcohol's effect on testosterone, and the first 3 drinks actually spike testosterone. Okay, and it's 1, it's about 20% up. 2, it's about 50% up. 3, it's about 30% up. After 3, it's an exponential downhill for alcohol. okay? And with ladies, it would be half of that number. So that study was done on guys. So just roughly speaking, 1.5 drinks or so. That's just for testosterone. But the first drink that you put in your mouth, alcohol is not toxic to you, but your body turns it into something toxic, so you have to take care of it. And alcohol has to be taken care of in the liver. And the liver is also used for protein and getting protein where it goes. So testosterone spiked a little bit, but muscle protein synthesis goes to 50% because your liver is now occupied by cleaning your body. Okay. Now, is this always bad? Not necessarily. People have been drinking fermented things for thousands of years. Okay, it seems to be part of the human condition. There are other health benefits, like drinking socially, being with friends and family. That can be positive, right? There's this moderation thing with it. But know that it's not the best idea if you're trying, like post-workout, if you're trying to gain some muscle, to go drink alcohol because it gets right in the face of it, right? But if it's 8 hours away from your workout and your muscle protein synthesis isn't spiked anymore, and you've had a long week, maybe the stress relief of that and the release of cortisol that you're going to get from this social encounter and from being with your family and from drinking the one thing that you look forward to drinking all week might be that release. So it might actually lower your cortisol just from kicking back and laughing with the boys, that could be real. And then that could have a beneficial effect on lowering your stress levels, which makes it easier for you to breathe out fat, okay? Which is literally how you lose the weight. You breathe it out, carbon dioxide. And so, and the other thing is it may lower cortisol, right? Now, if you drink a lot and you binge drink, your cortisol is going to go way up because your body is trying to keep you from dying. So you got this poison in your system that it has to get through, and it's got an immense amount of it. Like, that's going to spike your cortisol, right? So there's this happy medium, but it counts as calories. Counts as calories the same way, right? So if you say to yourself, I play the carbs game with myself. If I know, hey, my father-in-law's in town, I'm going to be drinking a couple Budweisers with Bob, at the end of the day. I'm not going to drink as many carbs. So maybe I eat closer to 2050. I just make sure my protein's high enough, and then I've got 500 calories, okay, 3 or 4 beers, kind of banked, that my body was already depending on that energy anyway. So it's not so bad that way. You can mitigate it. Is it the healthiest thing to drink? No. Is it the worst thing? Also, no. Yeah. Cool. Any other questions?
Is that a cipher between liquor and beer?
That study, I believe, was done with vodka. So I know that beer ups estrogen, wine ups testosterone, only slightly, only, under 3 drinks, that type of stuff. But it's not going to make or break you, right? As long as you're staying within your playing realm where your goals are, right? The rub becomes, okay, can I have this other 2 drinks? Those other 2 drinks are another 300 calories. So then you run into that, right? But that might be carb loading for your fasted workout in the morning. Not the best idea, but these are the thoughts that go through my brain when I'm talking to you about nutrition. Yeah. All right, any other questions, you guys? All right, if you do have any, you can email me back. You can message me on Facebook. We can get that. We can talk. Following, next time we get an inbody, we can run through your numbers, do the same kind of math, just did for myself up here, okay? You guys have a great journey through the landscape. Thank you very much.